Ms. Legalista here. Thank you for joining. I don't want to come across as too excited to talk about this, but I kind of am because I recently watched a video where someone was like, "Oh, this deed fraud thing, it's not a big deal. It's nothing to worry about. It rarely happens." Like the person was poo-pooing the whole thing. Okay, well, in this video, I totally have one for you because I used to live in this city where this one took place. So do not go out here and tell people that this kind of stuff is not still going on, where somebody can take a deed, walk into a register of deeds office, and have that deed filed with their name on your property. Now, one of the other things I've been talking about too is that a lot of states, a lot of municipalities now have alert systems where you can be alerted once something is filed. But that's after the fact. This is after the person now has put their name on your property. This is what happened to this gentleman. I want to, I'm just going to highlight a few things for you here as you're watching this because I watched this one time. I didn't go all the way to the end. I just had to stop. I was like, let me go ahead and do the video on this. She is saying she thought this home was in foreclosure. Okay, I want you to take a look at this house and you tell me if this, now granted, there are plenty of homes that look like this that are in foreclosure, but you could go look some of this stuff up. You can drive by the property and see what's going on here. So I'm not sure. I don't want to beat her up over the head. I don't know her, but I'm a little concerned here about her side of the story. And at the end, she actually responds to some of this, not on camera, but we get an opportunity to hear what she thought was going on here and why she did this, what her whole angle is. So at that point, you go, okay, well, maybe she isn't a bad party in this. But I'm going to let you watch this because there are two takeaways from this. One is this stuff is happening for real. And two, go ahead, sign up for these alerts with your register of deeds, something I need to do myself. But let me go ahead and open this up because I've talked enough about this. I want to take you to the iTeam troubleshooter. And as you can see, it says here, complete stranger obtains deed to $4 million Raleigh home without homeowners knowledge. Without homeowners knowledge. You'll also hear how he found out about his whole property. Is your property being sold? How that question came to him. All right, let me go ahead and get started.
A tough spot to be in for Craig Adams, the owner of this beautiful 8,300 square foot home in North Raleigh. He does have it listed for sale, but has lived in it for the last 4 years, paying the mortgage and property taxes. But he just discovered the deed to his home, no longer in his name. Instead, it lists a complete stranger.
Found out that she had filed a false warranty claim deed against this house, basically trying to steal this home.
She being someone named Dawn Mangum. Craig only learned about Mangum getting the deed in her name after the property management company for his HOA asked if he sold his home, as Mangum contacted the management company to get gate access, since Craig's home sits in a private gated community. This paperwork filed with the Wake County Register of Deeds office, signed by Mangum, states Craig Adams as a debtor, along with Don Mangum estate. Wake County approved the deed transfer to Don Mangum Trust. Craig went to the Wake County Register of Deeds to question how this happened.
There's no effort to authenticate the validity of the change of deed. Nobody verifies the notary. Nobody verifies who owns the house. Their only solution is that I have to go hire a private attorney.
Yep.
And the first quote I got was about $8,000 to file a civil suit against this woman.
A representative for Wake County says under North Carolina law, the Register of Deeds is not required to verify the legal validity of a deed when it is presented for registration, nor are they required to verify the credentials or legal standing of the notary or drafter of the document. She adds, as soon as they became aware of the fraudulent deed, it alerted the tax administration office. The no tax information for the property should be changed. A representative also said, because the deed has been recorded, the Register of Deeds office does not have the authority under North Carolina state law to remove the document from the record without a court order.
This is the biggest concern is the citizens of Wake County we're so vulnerable. Anybody, I could go down and put this warranty deed, find out where you live, and I could presumably take ownership of your house. It's that easy.
I reached Mangum on the phone, who said everything was done by law as she thought the property was in foreclosure. And she believes by law you can claim an abandoned property. She texted me, "My thing is not to take anyone's home, but to find abandoned property and restore it." But once she learned the property isn't in foreclosure, she said she stopped all paperwork. She added she'd like to return the ownership to Craig and claims the paperwork will be amended. As for Craig, he said the foreclosure noted on the for sale listing was a mistake and was corrected. He will now have to hire an attorney and bring this before a judge to hear the case. In the meantime, he hopes his frustrating ordeal prompts change. Now, Craig did also file a police report, and the Wake County Sheriff's Department confirms they're actively investigating this case, and the Register of Deeds office says they're working with investigators. So the big question is, how do you prevent this from happening to your property? Check with the County Register of Deeds in your area, and you can sign up for free fraud alerts. You won't be notified until after anything is recorded that involves your name, but at least you will be notified and could stop even more fraud. Wake County does offer the free fraud alerts, which of course I have already signed up for after this story, along with my parents. But I mean, what a crazy case.
You're saying there's nothing stopping anyone from
know.
going to the Register of Deeds and saying, I own this property, when it's all a scam.
And that's why Craig is now pushing lawmakers, already reaching
Yeah.
out to lawmakers. And so we
Yeah.
will too to
Wow.
see if hopefully they can make changes in the North Carolina law.
All right, there you go. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I did a video a while back about Graceland. Remember? There was a whole supposed, loan that had been signed by Lisa Marie Presley, and then the estate was just like, no, 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 that did not happen. And so this whole idea that you're now going to foreclose on this non-existent loan because we didn't pay it, and you're going to take Graceland. Yeah, I think that the state attorney general's office in Tennessee turned that over to the FBI. I think they are the ones who are now handling that case. So let me talk about a few things here. He talked about this being in Wake County because that is where he lives. He lives in Raleigh, which is in Wake County. He goes, well, Wake County citizens don't know this can happen. This isn't just Wake County. This is the whole state of North Carolina, 100 counties wide from the coast to the Blue Ridge Mountains. Okay. Any of these counties that you're in, someone can just walk in with a deed that's been notarized, have it filed, and it's now their name on your property and not yours. This is not anything new. It's been like this. So this didn't just happen overnight. People are just realizing the gaps in this, okay, which are not gaps. They're like, I don't know, a giant abyss, a black hole, because this is huge. People are just realizing this because of the number of scams that are going on. That's why I keep talking about deed fraud and the different kinds of deed fraud that's taking place. Now, let's talk about what the Ms. Mangum said, okay? Now, one of the things he said was that it said foreclosure on the listing by mistake. So I think that's where there was some confusion, that this was up there. Now, I haven't looked at that. I haven't gone back and looked at that, but he said something like that. Now, on the other side, she's saying, hey, this is what I do. I go out and look for homes that are in foreclosure. The problem is, did she get scammed? Because who did she pay? Who did she contact? Did she contact the real estate agent, the broker who had listed that property, to say, oh, I understand this is in foreclosure. I'm going to make this payment so that I can now own it. It doesn't sound like that's what happened. It sounds like she said something like, you can claim abandoned properties that are in foreclosure. Where I don't know where she got that from. You just gonna go out here and claim other people's property? Like there aren't other parties who have priority over you just because you found it and it's abandoned? It doesn't make any sense to me. Now, I will say this. This is a media report. This is not some sort of investigation where we have the beginning through the whole end. So I recognize that they don't have all of the information here because they didn't even really talk about that, because that's the piece I kept wondering. This whole, well, I saw UCC financing statements up there. So she filed that, it looks like, with the North Carolina Secretary of State's office. I think I may do a live video on this tonight just to sort of break this down, to go to these documents and take a look at what was going on here. Where is this house? What was going on with this particular listing? But the homeowner is right when he says that there has to be something that is changed about this process. I don't know what those changes look like, but right now, remember what I said is anybody can walk in with that deed. Well, one of the things that you can follow up on is the notary on the deed and say, okay, so no longer, and this would present a number of issues for the real estate industry. So I'd love to hear their feedback on this, because imagine you're selling properties now and people are moving in and out and plans have been arranged. If you now delay this process, you are definitely making it more complicated. So are we saying there's going to be a review period of 1 or 2 days where, yes, you take the deed over to the Register of Deeds office, but they have 24 hours to review it, to verify things? Or does the deed now have to come with some sort of affidavit, saying, here's the notary of the notary, that sort of thing. Like, how deep are we going to go with this? What is this going to look like? Obviously, there's some changes that need to be made here in what this process looks like. It's just very unclear what those changes need to be, how they will be how they will be implemented, and then what the impact or consequences are going to be, both the positive and the negative. Because sometimes the thing to take into account is, yes, we want to make change because there's some problems here, but sometimes we can go way too far. And so, how do you find balance in terms of protecting homeowners from this type of fraud, but not making it so burdensome that homeowners, potential homeowners, and home sellers are now having issues because, they can't get things through the system? So, will there be a slowdown in this process as a result of us trying to get some sort of handle on deed fraud? And this is not just in North Carolina. This is across the country. I just happen to be talking about North Carolina because I live in North Carolina and I've lived in Raleigh. Yeah, I know that particular area of Raleigh where he's talking about. There is no one who is immune from this. No one. No one. So there you have it. Again, I don't know if it's a scam or a fraud. All I know is that property, according to him, was his, and now it has somebody else's name on it. And he's right. His recourse is to go file a lawsuit. Now, she could easily say, oh, this was totally a mistake. Let me go right now and sign a deed, deeding the property right back to him. Some sort of corrective deed or just another warranty deed from her back to him. She could have already done that. If you looked at the dates on some of this stuff, it was August. Well, we're in September now. So what's she been doing? I don't know her. I don't want to beat her over the head because I don't know all the details. But what you been doing? I'd be pretty worried if the homeowner is out here filing a police report, and your basis for saying you own this is that you thought you could claim an abandoned house that was in foreclosure. Yeah, that's probably going to be a problem for you. Probably going to be a problem for you. Not as bad as the whole TikTok chase thing, which I didn't even talk about in any videos at all, 'cause I just couldn't believe that was happening. But I'll probably do a live on this later just to talk a little bit more about this, just to try to see if I can pull up some of the documents between now and then, what went on with this case. And to remind you, yes, this can happen to you too. And you will not find out until after it happens and you receive the alert. So keep your eyes and ears open. Don't forget to check your stuff that you own so that you can keep your money and your property safe. All right, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you learned a few things here, and don't forget to subscribe. Mwah. Peace.